Hey folks, I'm Tennessee Brando with the MeidasTouch Network. Now, Donald Trump has said that he is going to skip out on the Republican debate, and instead he's going to sit down with a one-on-one interview with Tucker Carlson. Christie says this is disrespectful to all the Republican candidates and to the Republican Party. Take a look at this clip and let us come back and talk about it.
Do you prefer that Donald Trump's on that debate stage on Wednesday?
I prefer that everybody who wants to be president of the United States and win the Republican nomination be on the stage, because I think Republican voters deserve the respect to show up and to argue the issues with the other candidates who have qualified. So if you've qualified for the stage, which Trump has, not showing up is completely disrespectful to the Republican Party, who has made you their nominee twice, and to the Republican voters whose support you're asking for again. So I think everybody who qualifies should show up and be willing to stand up and defend their record and advocate for what they want for the future.
I've got to be honest with you guys. Christie is the only Republican these days that I can actually stand to listen to, other than maybe Liz Cheney, because he's reasonable and he makes sense. And at least he tries to talk about the issues at hand. Even though I may not agree with him, wouldn't vote for him, I still appreciate the fact that he tries to keep things about the issues at hand. And here is Donald Trump skipping out on the Republican debate to sit down one-on-one with none other than Tucker Carlson. And that's not just a slap in the face to the Republican Party, it's actually a slap in the face to everybody and everybody involved, because it's just another classic case of Donald Trump making this all about him. Donald Trump does not want to be on that debate stage, because if he was on the debate stage, he would have to talk about the issues at hand. And we all know that he wants to take this and turn this into his circus. He wants to talk all about him and all of his troubles and how bad the evil, mean Democrats have been to him. He knows that if he was on that stage that Christie is going to take him to task. And Trump's ego will not allow him to stand up there next to Christie and be on the receiving end. Donald Trump is the bully. Donald Trump loves to bully people. And what we've always learned is bullies always get set down by the one guy that don't care to get hit. And Christie is the guy that don't care to get hit. See, back when Trump debated the Republicans when he was running for president, he was the bully. He was on the offense. He was going after them. He was going after Jeb Bush. He was going after Marco Rubio. He was putting them down, calling them all the names. He had them on the defense. He had them running from him. If he got on stage with Christie, it would be the opposite. And Donald Trump's ego cannot stand the idea that someone could upstage him and be the bully. When I was a kid, I grew up during the Mike Tyson era. And I loved the way Mike Tyson just ragdolled all of his opponents. You didn't have to buy the pay-per-views as a kid, because you could watch the highlight reel on ESPN. The walk to the ring would be longer than most Tyson fights. But one day, he came up against Buster Douglas, who had just lost his mother. And Mike Tyson was out partying and living it up and not training and not taking Buster Douglas serious. And Buster Douglas lost his mom, and he didn't care to get hit. So he gets over there in Japan against Tyson. He stands up against him. He doesn't care if he gets hit or not. Doesn't matter to him. And he came back on Tyson, and Tyson had never had that happen. Tyson had never had someone get up off the floor and come back and want more of it. And he ends up knocking out Mike Tyson. That's exactly what would happen here to Donald Trump if he went up against Christie. Christie's a guy who doesn't care if he hits him, because Christie's going to come after him. And the bully can't stand that. I agree with Christie that it is a slap in the face of the Republican Party, because Republicans should be able to hear the candidates and hear their ideas. This is showing that Donald Trump is separate. Donald Trump is something else. Donald Trump doesn't care about the Republican Party. He doesn't care about the issues at hand. He only cares about himself. And going and sitting down with Tucker Carlson is a way that he can try to make himself look good, because he doesn't give a shit about the rest of the issues that the country faces. He doesn't care. None of this is about the issues at hand. For those out there that are going to go vote and cares about the issues at hand, Donald Trump is not your guy, no matter what side of the fence you may end up on. Donald Trump doesn't care about anyone but himself. This is all designed. A sit down with Tucker Carlson is a slap in the face to every working person in this country, because he wants to sit and talk about everything that Joe Biden has got wrong. Here's his chance to do that. You know, if Trump had been smart this entire time, which we know he's not, because his ego won't allow him to be for 5 minutes, but if Trump had been smart, he would have simply not contested the election once he got his recounts, once he realized he lost. And he did know he lost, by the way. He knew he lost. He would have been much better off to say, okay, well, the American people have spoken, and they've chose Joe Biden as president. I disagree with their decision, and I'm going to come back in 4 years and tell you why. And then if he'd have just went away and shut his mouth long enough, he could have come back later, and there might have been some people that would have said, well, you know, hey, but he's got some points. But instead, He goes the exact opposite way and digs himself deeper and deeper into this hole. He was told, you'll be battling legal battles for the rest of your life if you go down this road. And he went down that road because he's so selfish and because his ego will not allow him to do anything else. And now the whole thing is about him. And so not only is it a slap in the face of the Republican Party, it's a slap in the face of Republican voters. It's a slap in the face of Americans that he's not willing to stand up there and talk about what people are going through. He just wants to go on and on about what he's going through. I'm not a Republican. I'm not going to be voting in the Republican primary. I don't have a dog in that fight. But if I was, I would take this as an insult. And I would be leaning towards someone like Christie, who at least will talk about the issues at hand and will address things. Now, I have Republican friends that says to me, hey, Christie's talking. He's pointing things out. And I'm like, yeah, he is. At least he's doing that. We don't agree with him, but I can respect that much more than I can somebody who's just a spoiled brat and wants to sit and talk constantly about nothing but themselves. When are Republicans ever going to wake up and realize they can't win with him and they're not going to win without him if something don't change? They've got to throw him under the bus. They've got to be the one that cuts that cord and says, we can't do this. They have to be the one to walk away from him. If they don't, they're going to keep losing. And I think they know that, and that's what they're up against. So it's going to be interesting going forward. I will probably watch the Republican debates. I want to see if they stay on point. I want to see if they talk about the issues at hand. I hope that it's not just them talking about what Trump's going through and what Trump's doing to their party. I think they would be much better served to just get up there and talk about the issues and stay on point and just ignore Donald Trump. Don't even acknowledge him. Don't even acknowledge that he's there. That would be my advice if I was giving any advice to Republicans. Don't even acknowledge he's there. Say, hey, we're here about the issues. We're here about the voters. You're probably still going to lose, but you would at least have a better chance of getting through to a moderate or getting through to somebody that was an independent that was on the fence. You're not going to get through going through that same old tired. We're all so sick and tired of this Trump rhetoric. We're so tired of hearing this. It's an absolute shame and a disgrace that as Americans we've had to live through this bullshit. When if he'd have just been man enough to say, I lost, you know. I mean, and going back to that Mike Tyson fight, I used to try to argue that when I was a kid. I used to say, yeah, if you'll notice, the referee actually picked the count up in the wrong place. When Tyson knocked down Douglas, he did. He actually picked the count up in the wrong place. Tyson won. And even Tyson came out and said, guys, quit arguing that. I got my ass kicked. And Trump can't do that. Trump can't say, guys, quit arguing that. I got my ass kicked. He just has to dig himself deeper. So I'll be watching to see the Republican debates, and I'm sure we're going to get a barrage of verbal diarrhea clips that we can react to once Trump sits down with Tucker Carlson. That's where we're at in America. But I'll tell you where we're at here on MeidasTouch. I know we may have already did it. We may have already crossed over the 1.5 million. I know that's what we were headed for, and we're going to cruise right on toward 2 million subscribers here. So you guys be sure and hit that subscribe button. Get these videos out there. We stand for truth. We stand for democracy. And it's always a good time here on MeidasTouch. So until next time, I'm Tennessee Brando. You guys keep tuning in. I'll keep telling you the truth.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.